Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Spotless Stadium. The tension is rising and the excitement is building as we head into round 5 of the World Championship Campdraft. We've had 4 fantastic nights of camp drafting here. This event, as always, has attracted some of the best camp drafters and the best horses in Australia, and we are about to see something really special again tonight. Let's go down to Jim Callanan, our camp draft caller extraordinaire. Jim, just fill us in a bit here. What do we like to see? What are the rules?
Well, good afternoon, Kate Day. Well, what are we about to see? Let's hope it's another round of champagne camp drafting. We move into round number 5 here on this Monday afternoon. And the cattle are about to come into what we call the cattle camp. In the cattle camp, that's out of a possible score of 26 points. We have 2 judges here, Mr. Fred Patterson, Mr. Wayne Edwards. One judge might give 22, one judge might give 23. That'll be 22 and a half. Tonight, it's a left-hand course. It's the first peg to be taken on the left. You get 2 points for the first peg, 1 for the second to be on the right, and then the 2 pegs close together referred to as the gate. That's another point for course. So that's out of a total of 4 points. The horse work is out of a possible score of 70 points. That is the control of the run, the speed of the run, and put the 70, the 26 and the 4. That's out of a possible score of 100 points, Kate.
Indeed, indeed. And of course, the closer our competitors get to those pegs that we see out there and the faster they go, the bigger their score will be. And we're hoping for some really big scores tonight. Basically, the way the competition works, our top riders who have placed in the last 4 nights are still in contention for the big decision on the final on Wednesday. And our first rider is there in the camp now, and that is Mr. Gavin White. He lives near Tamworth. He's a horse trainer. He was the 2016 ABCRA most successful aggregate rider. He's also competed and placed in cutting futurities. This is his 6th time in Sydney. He was 5th in 2014, and he's riding Vegas, a 7-year-old stallion by Acres Destiny, the 2016 Novice Horse of the Year in the ABCRA.
Okay, competitor number 1, round 5 of the World Championship Camp Draft. Gav White with Vegas. They're about to make their selection. Now, there's the nod from our 2 judges, from Wayne and Fred. So Mr. Fred Patterson, Mr. Wayne Edwards, and Vegas and Gavin White. And we've got a beautiful line here for round 5 of the Hereford Steers, the red and white Hereford Steers. And Vegas and Gav White, they step out in centre stage here in the Spotless Stadium, and it's a left-hand course, and Vegas, he's got himself a very fast one and across the arena, and there goes the stock whips from our 2 judges, and unfortunately for Gavin White and Vegas, there'll be a cutout score there only in round number 5.
Well, next in camp is Kyra O'Brien. She's been going well the last 2 rounds, placing second in round 4 and winning round 3. So she's looking fairly good. She was the 2016 ABCRA runner-up lady rider. She competed successfully in stock horse classes and has a very strong link with this particular event. Her grandfather won the World Championship twice, and her brother Warwick Lawrence also won the event. Her husband also competed here. So no pressure, Kyra. And all the best riding O'Brien's Vedette.
So a score for Gav White with Vegas was 21 points. 21 points for Vegas and Gav White. So now on to Kyra O'Brien with O'Brien's Vedette, and then up the face of the camp they come. They're looking for the big points out of a possible score of 26. And look at the footwork here now of Vedette, and goes over there now. Hard and blocks up there now. Well there with, and out into the stadium they come. And look at Vedette, and can they get around? He goes across the Spotless Stadium and heads towards the members stand. And there goes the whip. So the 2-0 to the Steers.
Yes, our beautiful steers from Elston Pastoral Company are winning at the moment, but let's see what our next competitor can do. And this is Mr. Glenn Coleman from Brungle near Gundagai in the Riverina. He's 32 years of age. He's a grazier, and he also was the 2008 ABCRA Australian Champion saddle bronc rider. In fact, he's competed in the rodeo here at Sydney before. He now turns his hand to camp drafting, and he's riding Brown Gelding Encore by Coolum Epic, who's 8 years old and has been on fire in the last 12 months, winning a maiden, 2 novice drafts and 8 open drafts in the SCA in the last year.
So a score now for Kyra O'Brien, and O'Brien's Vedette was 20.5 points. 20.5 points for O'Brien's Vedette, ridden by Kyra O'Brien. Well, Glenn Coleman and Encore, they make their selection. Glenn Coleman, here he comes now, takes his selection. Just one of the other beasts has run up alongside, but goes back down to his cousins. Now goes across 1 yard, 2, 3, 4 here. Calls for the gate. He's about to step out into the Spotless Stadium. Goes back a couple of panels, blocks him off now. Now they're out on centre stage here in the Spotless Stadium. Around now, can they line up the first peg? And Encore says, we'll just sit here, we'll just sit there. What's he going to do with it here now? Tries to get away. And he says, I'll get another crack at that first peg. Can he get it around there? And he says, now we might have it on track. Ground just a little bit touchy there on the first peg. Now Encore and Glenn Coleman, they come around the first peg. They get 2 points for the course. Around the second peg, and look at Encore. Moves right up on the beast's shoulder. This is Campdrafting. Sits there now. Can they get it around again? He'll get another go around. Can he just get this wonderful Hereford steer? He goes back around the top side. Encore says, well, just sit back a little. There goes the whistle. So we'll see what our judges do. We may end up with only 2 course points.
Taking the long way around there. Kids, who's winning? Do you think it's the steers or the riders?
Well, the steers are certainly putting up a little bit of a battle this evening.
Indeed. Mandy Gallagher is our next competitor. She's riding Dunks Groovester, who's also known as Bruno. He's an 8-year-old gelding, a quarter horse stock horse, who was the Border Zone 2016 maiden horse. She's won 4 ladies drafts this year. She's been in great form and was the ABCRA Lady Rider in 2017. She's already placed twice here in the competition and looking fairly good.
So a score coming through now for Glenn Coleman, and Encore was 18.5 for cutout, 53 for horsework, 2 for course, a total of 73.5 points. 73.5 points for Encore and Glenn Coleman. Now we move on to Mandy Gallagher with Bruno and the school secretary in Mandy Gallagher from Bundara in the northern part of New South Wales. She makes her selection. And Bruno says, now we've got it here, block him down the back fence here. Now she blocks him up as well. Now Mandy Gallagher with Bruno about to step out into the Spotless Stadium, and they come out now, out on course. Mandy Gallagher with Bruno. Now can she just sit back a little and let the steer run on? Will he run on? Yes, he says, I can run on. He comes right around, and just too far right around. But give her a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Boys and girls, that's Mandy Gallagher with Bruno.
Well, they're pretty tough today. It's a tough day at the office for our drafters. Let's move on to Jack Gallagher now and riding More Gold. Now, he's a station manager from Bundara. He's a former ABCRA Saddle Bronc champion and a former New South Wales team captain in the State of Origin rodeo here. He was second in the World Championship draft in 2004. He has won 5 open drafts in the last year, and he's riding 7-year-old chestnut quarter horse gelding More Gold by One More Playboy.
Score now for Mandy Gallagher and Bruno was 18 points. 18 points for Bruno and Mandy Gallagher. So our cattle stewards, Pete and Dave Kelly, put him away. So he goes home to bed. And now Jack Gallagher with More Gold. He's about to make his selection. Once again, many thanks to Elliston Pastoral Company, to the Packer family, to management up at Elliston, Rob Teague, Scott Mitchell and the team, for a magnificent line of cattle for the World Championship Camp Draft here at the Sydney Royal Easter Show. And Jack Gallagher is just about, he said, I'm just trying to get this beast to stand back and let that other fellow walk up, and he does it now. So More Gold and Jack Gallagher, they go to work. They're going to get as many points as they can out of a possible score of 26 points in the cutout. Calls for the gate. They step out onto centre stage in the Spotless Stadium. Round number 5, World Championship Camp Draft. More Gold and Jack Gallagher, and around the first peg nicely. And Jack Gallagher is looking for More Gold in round number 5. They do the changeover. They got 2 points for the first peg. And look at the steer. And More Gold and Jack Gallagher around the second peg. Things are looking pretty good. Boys and girls, mums and dads, let's get a little bit excited. He heads over towards the members stand. Can More Gold and Jack Gallagher, can they line it up? Can they line it up? Can they do it? Can they do it? More Gold and Jack Gallagher turns him around. And the stock whips are gone.
Well, it's getting a lot closer to what we want to see there. But that still might have been a victory, do you think, for the steers there, Jim?
So we'll wait for the score to come through. for Jack Gallagher and More Gold.
And while we're waiting, let's introduce our sixth rider, Troy Palmer. He's a horse trainer and contractor from Coolah. He has won this event before, in fact, 2 times, in 2003 and then 10 years later in 2013 as well. He has won 18 horse and rider titles in the ABCRA, and he's riding Sniper, Binia Sniper.
Okay, Jack Gallagher and More Gold scored 21 for cutout, 56 for horsework, 3 out of 4 for the course, a total of 80 points. 80 points for More Gold, ridden by Jack Gallagher. Okay, up to number 6 in the draw, Troy Palmer with Binia Sniper. So the Australian stock horses, World Championship Camp Draft, beautiful line of cattle. We've had some Champagne Camp Drafting. We're in round number 5. A day off tomorrow, as Kate said earlier. Then the big final on Wednesday afternoon. And Troy Palmer, he's going for the big points. Right up the front. Calls for the gate. Out onto centre stage they come in the Spotless Stadium. And Binia Sniper, he's got himself a fast one. And he goes across the arena. And there goes our judges' stock whips. Just a little bit out of bounds, but give him a nice round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. He was trying, but that's sometimes things don't go right no matter what sort of sport it is. Isn't that right, Kate?
Oh, indeed. And I'm just wondering, looking at the shade, whether that's actually having an impact, because we're certainly seeing a different kind of night than we have over the last 4 rounds. But perhaps that's a little bit off-putting for some of our cattle to come out and see everybody out here in that brilliant sunshine for the instant and then heading into the shade. But anyway, Alan Young is our next competitor, number 7, and he's from Aberdeen. He's a horse breeder and trainer, and he's been drafting for 43 years. He has a great relationship with this horse, Acres Liberty Bow, an 18-year-old stallion by Acres Destiny, won 85 camp drafts, including the Landmark Open and the Stallion Shootout.
So a score now for Troy Palmer and Binia Sniper was 20.5 points. 20.5 points for Binia Sniper, ridden by Troy Palmer. Alan Young now with the Grand Australian Stock Horse Stallion, Acres Liberty Bow, right up the face of the camp. Calls for the gate. He steps out onto centre stage. Acres Liberty Bow. And they've got themselves another fast one right across the arena. So maybe you're onto something there, Kate, with the shade and the sunlight, etc., etc.
So next is Lockie Maxwell, and Lockie is a 43-year-old stockman from Mount Mitchell near Glen Innes. It's his 6th time at the Sydney show. He's placed in the Warwick Gold Cup and at Paradise Lagoons, 2 very big events in camp drafting, and he's riding 10-year-old quarter horse gelding Spookinator, affectionately known as Spook, who has won and placed in open, ladies and junior drafts and is ridden by the whole family.
So a score now for Alan Young and Acres Liberty Bow was 20.5 points. 20.5 points for Acres Liberty Bow, ridden by Alan Young. So we move on now to number 8 in the draw. Lockie Maxwell with Spookinator. He's about to make his selection. Just got to wait till they get this other beast away. They block him up. He heads him in towards the bedroom where the steers will go off to bed tonight. He's back home. And Lockie Maxwell makes his selection. He's going straight into business. Calls for the gate. Out into the Spotless Stadium they come. Lockie Maxwell and Spookinator. And the Hereford steers, they love this Spotless Stadium, straight across the arena. And the stock whips, there they go. So the steers, they're putting the points on the board tonight.
Well, let's see what this next man can do. This is Nigel Cable from Rydal. He's a cattleman. He's one of the most successful horse and rider combinations in camp draft history. He's riding Chevron Ivory, a 19-year-old black stallion that is in the Australian Stock Horse Hall of Fame with good reason. He's won over 110 camp drafts. He has over 750 foals on the ground, and he's won over $280,000 in prize money and trophies. So Nigel Cable has won this event 3 times before, in 2007 and over the last 2 years, in 2015 and 2016. We wish them the best of luck.
So a score now for Lockie Maxwell and Spookinator was 19.5 points. 19.5 points for Spookinator, ridden by Lockie Maxwell. Okay, up to number 9 in the draw, round 5. Nigel Cable and Chevron Ivory. Up the face of the camp they come. They do 2, they do 3, they do the 4 and the 5, and calls for the gate, and out onto centre stage, and Nigel Cable and Chevron Ivory, and around the first peg, and look here, Ivory says, leave the footwork to me, Nigel, you just come for the little bit of a ride here on this wonderful Monday afternoon. And they come around the first peg, they do the changeover, they've got 2 out of 4 for the course, Ivory and the Hereford steer around the second peg, can they push him up there, right around on the beast's shoulder, they've got 3 out of 4, boys and girls, better tell mum and dad to get ready, can they get it around there? Nigel Cable, Chevron Ivory, line it up, can they? It's looking very, very good. Come on down, Chevron Ivory. The price is right on Monday afternoon.
Well, he very rarely disappoints. It's as if this horse is bred for this particular competition, and has performed so well here on this ground, and to be the first big score of the day. There we go, Nigel Cable and Chevron Ivory. Let's move on now to our competitor number 10, and that is Matt Holtz riding Dharma Acres of Impact.
So a score coming through now for Nigel Cable and Chevron Ivory was 22 for cutout, 63.5 for horsework, 4 out of 4 for the course, a total of 89.5 points. 89.5 points for Chevron Ivory, ridden by Nigel Cable. So now we move on now to number 10 in the draw, Matt Holtz with Dharma Acres of Impact. Makes his selection. And up the face of the camp he comes. Matt Holtz. He's about to call for the gate. He says, let's go. They step out now. They're on the dance floor. Round 5 of the World Championship Campdraft. And you would not read about it. That just how unfortunate to get away there. And he just slipped out there under the bottom of the second peg.
Well, that's no good at all for our Gippsland rider, Matt Holtz. On to competitor number 11 now, Mark Palmer, a horse trainer and contract master from Corindai. Mark actually won last night's round, but he has won this entire event 3 times before, in 2005, 2012 and 2014. Interestingly, he's not just great at camp drafting, but he was a fantastic saddle bronc rider and competed here many times in the state of origin. He's riding El Condo, a 9-year-old stallion that is the 3rd generation horse to win. This horse's grandmother, Brizette, won this competition 7 times. Its mother, Brizelli, won in 2005, and El Condo himself won as a very young horse in 2014. So let's see what they're up to today.
So a cutout score there for Matt Holtz and Dharma Acres of Impact was a cutout score of 23 points. 23 points for Dharma Acres of Impact, ridden by Matt Holtz. So Mark Palmer, he's about to make his selection as the other beast leaves the arena. He gets the nod from our judges, Mr. Fred Patterson, Mr. Wayne Edwards. And El Condo and Mark, they make their selection. They come up the face of the camp. Goes 2 and 3 and 4. And he's about to call for the gate. And he comes out there now, and he just slipped back down the side fence. So just unfortunate there. So just gets another go. Only allowed 2 losers in the camp. So Mark Palmer and El Condo just get these other steers to drift away. Just doesn't want to leave his cousins here at the moment. Says, I'll just stay here. Just trying. Now he might have it. And that's very unfortunate there for El Condo, and Mark Palmer will go out of round 5 with a no score.
That is a shame. Well, Ben Matum, let's see what he can do. Ben is 25 years old. He's a horse chiropractor from Stroud, and in 2009 he became the youngest rider ever to win the World Championship Camp Draft at just 17 years of age. He was runner-up here in 2011, and he's gone on to a great career, placing in the Warwick Gold Cup before, and he's riding Millbrook Boutique, a 14-year-old black mare by Adios Reflect.
So we just get this steer out of the camp.
So, of course, Jim, camp drafting is one of only a handful of genuine Australian sports, and its origins are in the stock camps of Northern Australia, but along with AFL and, Aussie Rules and Polocross, I think it's there are only maybe two up. Can we count two up as a sport? I don't know. But it certainly showcases all of the fantastic skills of the Australian stockman. And these are skills that you'll see on properties and stations around the country on any given day. It's still preferable for many people to work their cattle with horses and dogs. And we see Murray Wilkinson out there actually at the moment with two of his dogs. He's an employee of Elston Pastoral Company, and he has also been working here at the show and doing a performance during the day and joining us with our Man from Snowy River performances in the evening. So we're moving on now. We're back on track. Ben Matum.
Okay, thank you very much, Kate Day. So Ben Matum with Millbrook Boutique. Let's see what we can do here. And Ben Matum, one of the youngest competitors to win the World Championship Camp Draft, also competing in the rodeo events here at the Sydney Royal Easter Show. They step out now into the Spotless Stadium, and they've got another fast one, and the Millbrook Boutique, and across the arena, and there goes the whips, and a little bit out of bounds. So the steers are certainly putting up a battle in round number 5.
Yes, amazing to have two completed scores at this level. We're down to our 13th competitor now, and it's certainly a very different night. We've had lots of very high scores in the previous rounds, but unfortunately these cattle are winning today, and we'll have to see what the remainder of our competitors can get done. Well, Tony Mortimer is from Saltash, and he's a railway worker and a truck driver. He's been camp drafting for 9 years, and it's his first time ever at the Sydney Royal Easter Show. He's already had his name up there and placed 4th last night in round 4.
So a score now for Ben Matum and Millbrook Boutique was 20.5 points. 20.5 points for Millbrook Boutique, ridden by Ben Matum. So the man of the moment, the next competitor, number 13 in the draw, Tony Mortimer with Little Abbey. He's about to make his selection. And Tony Mortimer's about to put his best foot forward. And he takes another quality Hereford steer. Once again, many thanks to Elliston Pastoral Company. He calls for the gate. He steps out onto the dance floor of this magnificent Spotless Stadium. And around the first peg, and Tony Mortimer says, I'll just sit back here. And now he says, Little Abbey, we might just move along here. He says, now it's a pretty good mare to ride. And now look at this. Right, this is camp drafting. Right up on the beast's shoulder. Just blocks that beast off there nicely there on the second peg. Tony Mortimer comes around. They got 3 out of 4 for the course. Girls and boys, let's get behind him. Let's start clapping and see if we can get him over there. Cheer him on. Little Abbey and Tony Mortimer. Give him a big round of applause. That'll make his afternoon. Great run there for Tony Mortimer and Little Abbey.
Wow, that was fantastic to see. Well, let's go on to 14 now. Glenn Peterson riding Pine Tor, Memphis. Glenn's from Cowra. He's a livestock buyer. He was second in the World Championship Camp Draft here in 2016, and he's been extremely consistent over the last 3 years and has been up there in the top 5 as the ABCRA's open rider. He rides Pine Tor, Memphis by Binia Impressive Destiny, a 7-year-old stallion.
So a score now for Tony Mortimer, Little Abbey was 20 for cutout, 64 for horsework. 4 course points, a total of 88 points. 88 points for Tony Mortimer and Little Abbey. Glenn Peterson now with Pine Tor Memphis, and he's got a fast one. And the Hereford steer says this is the place to be over there in the members' stand with all the great luxuries.
And maybe having a sip of Tyrrell's wine, Jim.
You took the words right out of my mouth, Kate Day.
I apologise. I'll put them back. So we're on to competitor number 15 now, and Andrew Chapman had some very good success in our early rounds. He placed second in round 1 and round 2. Andrew Chapman is from Nundle. He's a property manager, and he's been drafting, as many of our competitors have, since they were very young, since he was 13 years of age. He was second in the World Championship Campdraft here in 2010, third in 2011, and he's riding Black Stallion Acres Mercury, who's 10 years old and was last year's ABCRA Open Horse of the Year.
21 points for Glenn Peterson and Pine Tor Memphis, 21 points for Pine Tor Memphis and Glenn Peterson. As now we pick up Andrew Chapman coming around the first peg with Acres Mercury, and he's got himself a very fast one. He's going to try and grab him before he heads towards home, and a little bit out of bounds. So give him a nice round of applause there. Unfortunately there, things are looking so good there for Acres Mercury and Andrew Chapman.
Well, 89.5 is the score to beat. We've only got one more rider to have a go at that, and it is Mr. Wade Miles. He's the 23-year-old or 24-year-old now, actually livestock agent. He had his birthday here at the show, and he was third in last year's World Championship Campdraft, fourth in 2015. He loves this track, and he's riding Greenvale Request and Adios Reflect Mare that was 2014 Maiden Horse of the Year.
Our score for Acres Mercury and Andrew Chapman was 21 points. 21 points for Acres Mercury, ridden by Andrew Chapman. So our final competitor in round number 5, Wade Miles with Greenvale Request. So the Hereford Steers, they're putting up a battle here in round 5, and out into centre stage they come. Wade Miles with Greenvale Request, and around the first peg, and things are looking pretty good for Request and Wade Miles. They come around the first peg. They're about to do the changeover. And he says, yes, let's go now. He's going to tighten things up again. This is Camp Drafting right up on the beast's shoulder. Wade Miles and Request. Turns that beast back up towards the second peg. He digs and he zags a little. He says, I'm just trying to play it pretty safe at the moment. Come on, girls and boys. Have they got time? Have they got time? Can they get it over here towards the gate to get 4 out of 4 for the course? Wade Miles, the Hereford Steer, and Greenvale Request. Can they do it? There goes the time, and there goes the stock whip. So give you a nice round of applause. Our final competitor in round 5 of the World Championship Camp Draft. So we'll have a score come through for you very shortly.
Well, when it works, Jim, it is absolutely thrilling, and sometimes you just do get a tough day at the office. We've got some beautiful cattle there to draft, but unfortunately they have had the upper hand today, and always challenging to get horse, rider and beast all heading in the same direction around that cloverleaf pattern. And I think Nigel Cable is sitting pretty and will be feeling fairly happy after round 5 of this competition. He's our top scorer now on 89.5, and he's adding that to an equal second place in round 3, first place in round 2, and fourth place in round 1. So he has yet again been the most consistent performer, and as we go into the finals, I would say he'd be feeling fairly comfortable.
So a score now for Wade Miles and Greenvale Request was 16.5 for cutout, 56.5 for horsework, 3 out of 4 for the course, a total of 76 points. 76 points for Wade Miles and Greenvale Request. So we'll have the presentation of round number 5. And we have 2 past presidents of the RAS down here with us in the Spotless Stadium, Mr. Arthur Bragg and Mr. Rob Vickery, along with Councillor Mr. Jeff Mason and Mr. James Angus, Duncan McIntyre, and our stewards, Dick Adams and Peter Eggleton. So round number 5, we're about to have the presentation. So presentation of round 5 of the World Championship Camp Draft. And the presentation of round 5 going to be done by our previous president of the RAS, Mr. Arthur Bragg. And here with Nigel Cable. Well, Nigel, A beautiful Monday afternoon for you in that round 5.
Yeah, the weather turned out pretty good, Jimmy. A bit better than last night. And, yeah, it's good to get one around.
Round 5, still another round to go, Nigel, and still 2 or 3 competitors still knocking on the door there. And so it'll go right down to the wire.
Oh, yeah, it's always good competition here at Sydney, and it's not over till it's over.
And a little bit of celebrating, like the Campdraft family will come together and have a little drink later on, and it'll be all compliments of that wonderful wine.
Yeah, great sponsors, Tyrrell's, and yeah, we'll indulge a little when we get back to the stables. Thanks.
Okay, thank you very much, Nigel Cable. So the winner and place getters of round 5. Nigel Cable first with Chevron Ivory on that grand score of 89.5 points. Second place going to Tony Mortimer on Little Abbey on 88 points. Third place going to Jack Gallagher on More Gold on 80 points. And fourth place to Wade Miles on Greenvale Request on 76. Well, Tony Mortimer, first time here at the Sydney Royal Easter Show for the World Championship Campdraft. Finding it pretty good.
Oh yeah, pretty excited to be having a ball.
Great atmosphere, Tony.
Oh yeah, something I'll never forget.
Thanks, Tony, and all the best for the final round.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. That's Tony Mortimer taking our second place there in round 5 of the World Championship Campdraft.